Let's get right into it. Number 10. The Internet. So you're scrolling through TikTok, watching cat videos, but you're using something that was originally created because people were worried about getting nuked. Back in the 1960s, during the Cold War, the US government was thinking, if we get nuked, how are we going to talk to each other when everything's destroyed? So they created ARPANET, which was basically the great-great-grandfather of today's internet. Instead of sending data through one central point that could get blown up, they chopped up messages into tiny pieces called packets. These packets would take different routes to reach their destination, like a bunch of drunk pigeons delivering pieces of the same letter. If one route got destroyed, the other packets would just find another way around. This system was designed specifically to survive a nuclear attack, but it accidentally ended up being pretty good at handling disasters. It's like buying a car for its cup holders and finding out it's also great at off-road driving. Today, we use this same basic idea to watch cat videos and argue with strangers online. Number 9. Digital cameras. So next time you're taking selfies, remember you're holding a piece of Cold War spy tech in your hands. Back in the 1970s, the US military was trying to spy on the Soviets from space. The first spy satellites were basically giant cameras floating in space, taking pictures of Soviet territory. But these satellites couldn't send the pictures back electronically. Instead, they had to physically drop the film back to Earth in tiny capsules. Imagine being the poor guy whose job was to catch these things. It's like playing catch, but if you miss, you might start World War III. The military got tired of this space-age game of fetch and decided they needed something better. That's when they developed the first digital cameras for their satellites. These cameras could convert light into electrical signals and beam the images back to Earth instantly. The technology was so classified that if you talked about it, you'd probably end up having a very uncomfortable chat with some very serious people. But eventually, this super-secret spy tech found its way into regular cameras. Your Instagram feed is technically powered by Cold War espionage. Number 8. GPS navigation. Ever get lost and pull up Google Maps? Well, you can thank the Cold War for that. Back in the 1950s, the US military wasn't trying to help you find the nearest Starbucks. They were trying to figure out how to guide missiles to their targets with pinpoint accuracy. It all started when scientists were spying on Sputnik, the first Soviet satellite. They noticed the satellite's radio signals changed frequency as it passed overhead. This accidental discovery led to the birth of GPS. The military called it Navstar, and it was basically a bunch of space lighthouses guiding troops and weapons. These satellites had super-accurate atomic clocks on board. At first, this was top-secret military tech, but then in 1983, a civilian airplane accidentally flew into Soviet airspace and got shot down. President Reagan decided maybe they should let everyone use this thing so this doesn't happen again. So next time you're using your phone to find the nearest McDonald's, remember you're using the same technology that was originally designed to guide missiles to their targets. Number 7. The microwave oven. Back in World War II, this guy named Percy Spencer was working on radar systems to spot enemy planes. He was using something called a magnetron, which basically shoots out powerful radio waves. One day he's just standing there when he notices the chocolate bar in his pocket has turned into goo. Now most people would just be mad about the mess. But Percy gets curious. He starts bringing random food to work like some kind of mad scientist. First up, popcorn kernels. The kernels start popping like crazy near the magnetron. Then he tries an egg, which explodes all over the lab. After the war, his company Raytheon took this war machine and turned it into something that could heat up your leftover burrito. They called it the Radarange. It was basically a microwave oven the size of a refrigerator that cost as much as a car. But over time, they made it smaller, cheaper, and less likely to accidentally cook your cat. So next time you're warming up your coffee, remember you're using technology that was originally designed to win a world war. Number 6. Duct tape. So there's this mom named Vesta Stout working at an ammunition plant during World War II. She notices something pretty scary. The paper tape they're using to seal ammo boxes keeps breaking. Imagine you're a soldier in the rain, desperately trying to open an ammo box, and the tab just tears off. Meanwhile, bullets are flying at you, and you're basically playing with wet cardboard. So Vesta comes up with an idea for a waterproof cloth tape, but her bosses just ignore her. So what does she do? She writes directly to President Roosevelt himself. And get this, he actually reads it and thinks it's a really good idea. The military starts making this new tape in army green, and soldiers start calling it duct tape, either because it's waterproof like a duck, or because it's made from cotton duck fabric. They also called it 100-mile-per-hour tape, because you could use it to patch up tanks and gear even under heavy fire. After the war, soldiers brought the idea home, and manufacturers started making it silver to match household stuff. They renamed it duct tape to sell it for sealing air ducts, even though that's actually one of the few things it's not great at. So next time you're using duct tape to fix literally anything, remember it all started because one mom decided to write a letter to the president. Number 5. Aerosol cans. So you know that can of deodorant sitting in your bathroom? It started as a weapon of war. Back in World War II, soldiers in the South Pacific had a bigger enemy than enemy troops: mosquitoes. These tiny terrorists were spreading malaria faster than gossip in a small town. The military needed a solution, so they invented what soldiers called the bug bomb, the world's first aerosol can. It was basically a metal container filled with insecticide and pressurized gas that created a force field of insect death. After the war, some genius looked at this insect-killing weapon and thought, hey, what if we put hairspray in this instead? There's this wild story about spray paint being invented in a small town called Sycamore, Illinois. Some paint company basically said, if it can spray bug poison, why not paint? And just like that, they accidentally invented the tool that would later launch 1,000 graffiti artists' careers. So next time you're spraying on your deodorant, remember you're wielding a piece of military tech. Your armpit protection started as army protection. Number 4. Silly putty. So picture this. It's 1943. World War II is raging, and America has a serious rubber shortage. The military needs rubber for basically everything: tires, gas masks, you name it. So they've got this engineer named James Wright locked in a lab, trying to create fake rubber. One day he mixes some chemicals together and creates this weird, stretchy goop. As a rubber replacement, it was a complete failure, but it could do something else. It could pick up entire newspaper pages and copy them perfectly. Imagine being the guy who has to tell his bosses, good news, I made something that can copy comic books. Bad news, our tanks still don't have tires. Eventually, a toy store owner saw people playing with it and thought kids would love this. When they finally started selling it, they moved 250,000 units in just 3 days. The irony is, this useless piece of goo that couldn't help win the war ended up making more money than most actual military inventions, and it did eventually make it into space. The Apollo 8 astronauts used it to keep their tools from floating away. Number 3. Super glue. So picture this. It's 1942. World War II is raging, and a scientist named Dr. Coover is trying to make better gun sights for fighter planes. He's mixing up chemicals when suddenly everything starts sticking to everything else. His tools are getting stuck together, papers are becoming one with the desk, and his colleagues are probably giving him that, dude, what did you do look? This stuff was so sticky that it was actually ruining their experiments. So they tossed the whole thing in the failed experiments bin and moved on. About a decade later, Coover's looking at this failed experiment again and has this light bulb moment. He's like, wait a minute, this stuff that ruins everything by making it stick together, what if that's actually the point? This glue is so powerful because it's basically having a chemical party with the moisture that's on pretty much everything. This stuff bonds skin so well that doctors sometimes use it to close wounds in emergencies. So every time you accidentally glue your fingers together with super glue, just remember, you're experiencing a failed military experiment. Number 2. The ballpoint pen. Imagine you're a World War II pilot, flying at 30,000 feet, trying to write down crucial coordinates. Suddenly your fountain pen decides to have a mental breakdown. Ink starts spraying everywhere. Your cockpit looks like a crime scene. Your instruments are covered in ink, and you're probably wondering if this is how you're going to meet your end. This was a real problem for RAF pilots. You see, take a fountain pen up into the sky where the air pressure drops, and suddenly the ink would expand and leak. That's when some genius came up with the ballpoint pen. Instead of just letting ink flow freely, they put a tiny ball at the tip to control it. Think of it like a bouncer at a club, but for ink. The ball only lets ink out when it's rolling on paper. No leaks, no mess, no accidentally painting your flight instruments purple. So next time you're mindlessly clicking your pen in class, remember that annoying clicking sound is way better than having ink explode in your face at 30,000 feet. Number 1. Canned food. It's 1795, and Napoleon Bonaparte has a big problem. His soldiers are marching across Europe, but they keep getting food poisoning from spoiled rations. Turns out, an army marches on its stomach isn't just a cute saying when your troops are dropping like flies from bad meat. So Napoleon offers a huge cash prize of 12,000 francs to anyone who can figure out how to keep food from rotting. Enter Nicholas Appert, a French chef whose solution is to stick food in glass jars and boil them until they're sterilized. It's basically like giving bacteria a hot tub party until they die. He had no clue about bacteria or why this worked. Germ theory wasn't a thing yet, but Appert's glass jars kept breaking during transport. That's when someone had the bright idea to use metal instead of glass. The only problem is the can opener hadn't been invented yet. Soldiers had to use their bayonets, rocks, or whatever else they could find to get the cans open. So next time you're easily pulling open a can of soup, remember some poor soldier probably had to stab it repeatedly with a knife just to get his dinner. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.